Baby. Here we go.
Okay.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of We Got Next. I'm Rickey Hampton here with the big fella, Coach Paul McCartney.
Wow, really? We have Paul McCartney on today? That's amazing.
I'm on the
We've only
wrong
been doing
I'm
the
here
show.
with
show.
the big fella, Coach Mo, Paul Mokeski. I
We've
call
only
him.
been doing the show for 3 years, Ricky.
I'm on the wrong show. I thought it was Paul Mokeski.
Okay, I had a few before we went on the air. So now, hey, it is great to be here. Mo, we're going to have fun tonight. We got a special guest here with us. We're going to give him an official introduction in a minute. But Mo, we've actually got some sad news here, and I know you as a student of the game, a player of the game for all these years, uh, would like to talk about the passing of one of the legends of basketball, Bobby Knight. Before I get your comments, let's play this right quick. This is
The
courtesy of
General. Bob Knight was
WTHR
one of the
in
biggest personalities
Indianapolis.
in the history of college basketball. He coached at Indiana University from 1971 to 2000, and he finished his career with 7 more seasons at Texas Tech. In 42 years on the sidelines, he won 902 games. That ranks 3rd all time. The banners in Assembly Hall tell the story. Knight led the Hoosiers to 3 NCAA titles, 1 NIT title, and 11 Big Ten championships. His 1975-76 team went undefeated and won the national title. That squad is the last men's team to go undefeated from start to finish. Knight was the National Coach of the Year 4 times, and he led the USA to a gold medal in the Olympics in 1984. He was praised for running clean programs and graduating players, but he often sparked controversy with his fiery personality. He was outspoken and often clashed with the media.
Looky here. Bobby Knight is through.
Bob Knight made headlines in 1985 with one of the most famous ejections ever. He tossed a chair across the court during a game against Purdue.
Unfortunately, there have been many instances in the last 17 weeks in which Coach Knight has behaved and acted in a way that is both defiant and hostile.
Knight's years of coaching at IU came to an abrupt halt when he was fired in the fall of 2000 after a run-in with a student. But many of the IU faithful stood by his side. He never returned to Assembly Hall until February 2020, when dozens of his former players joined him on the court. The General got a hero's welcome home. Rest in peace, Coach. Bob Knight was 83 years old.
And that's courtesy of WTHR in Indianapolis.
Yeah, it's a sad day when a legend passes away, but he gave so much to the game. Really interesting. I played with at least 3 of his former players. I played with Isaiah Thomas in Detroit. I played with Bobby Wilkerson in Cleveland, and I played with Kent Benson in Detroit. So, and I knew Quinn Buckner really well. So, they used to tell stories and horror stories about practice, but in the long run, all of them loved the man and really respected what he did and how he disciplined them to make them grow up and become young men. It's a great loss for the game. I'm wondering, because remember what he said back in the day, that when I pass, I hope I'm buried upside down so all my critics can kiss my ass.
Remember that well.
That should
Remember
be
that.
on his tombstone. But
Hey, Paul.
yes.
Hey, Paul. Don't you agree? Being around players that played for college coaches, even some high school coaches, that the one thing they say is if that coach remains in their life beyond basketball and they love the man, that's the true mark of a great coach, that he becomes a father figure for them for the rest of their life.
Yeah, I think the reward for a coach is what their players / students do in their life, and not just on the court but off the court. Having families, doing well in business, being a good person, and that's the ultimate goal. I coached for over 20 years, and I have a G League championship, but I'm more proud of the players, in some of these minor leagues that are now in business and being successful and raising families. And, that's where Bobby Knight and all his former players stand out for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
And at the end of that clip, when he finally came back to Bloomington, you saw all those players that came back to celebrate with him. I know Isaiah Thomas said Coach Knight helped him make a man out of him at a young age, coming out of Chicago down to Bloomington. His players loved him. So I guess to really appreciate, because I was not a big fan of some of his antics.
No, I mean, he did some, just because you do some bad stuff and make mistakes doesn't make you a bad person. So he made some bad decisions, like we saw the chair throw, and I think he almost got kicked out of a country when he was coaching for USA Basketball.
Yeah, Puerto Rico.
He said some stuff about people and rubbed people the wrong way, but I think deep down his heart, came across, and I think a lot, even when he was going through those problems at Indiana and Texas A&M, student bodies seem to always be behind him,
Yeah. Hey, and we want to welcome our viewers out there. I see everybody's loading up. Hey, we'll get the questions and comments in throughout the night. And hello to Chris and David and Mike and Steve. And Chris has a good comment here, Mo. I'd like to get your thoughts on. He said Bob Knight would not have made it coaching in today's game.
No, it's a totally different world. You can't coach that way anymore. You would be fired and sued, and it's just a different game. I mean, when I played, coach told you to run through a wall, you ran through the wall. That's just what you did, and there was no question about it or why or what are we doing. Now when I stopped coaching a while ago, but when I coach, I'm like, now you have to tell the players why they have to run through the wall. That's just the difference. When I knew that coaching changed, when I started hearing players say, you know what, I need to be able to accept coach's criticism. Coaching became criticism instead of coaching, and that's so wrong. I mean, coaching criticism is, hey Keith, your shot is terrible. It sucks. That's criticism. Coaching is, Keith, your shot is not up to par. We need to work on it. We're going to start doing drills after practice. So
absolutely.
There's and I hear this all the time now. I go to AAU games or high school games or college games, and I hear coaches a lot of times, like in practice, say, hey, get out of your feelings. They say, get out of your feelings. That means they're being too sensitive. But there's no question Christie could not be coaching in today's game.
Hey, Paul, did you see the change even at the highest level in the NBA from your playing days to your days as a scout and an assistant coach?
Absolutely. No question. I mean, just look what's happening. Just look at the James Harden situation. Like I saw, James Harden is 4 for 4. Every time he's demanded a trade, he's got it. He's gone to the team he wanted to go to, and he's made more money. It's a players' league. And now the college is becoming that. With the NIL money and all this, college is becoming that also.
No doubt.
It changed, a while back, but you could see it change. And, it is what it is. It's not changing back, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Hey, Mo, let's introduce our guest to the audience. But before we do that, I do want to play this introduction.
When I was physical instructor at Springfield College in Massachusetts, one day I had an idea. I called the boys to the gym. I showed them 2 peach baskets I'd nailed up at each end of the gym, divided them up into teams of 9, and gave them an old soccer ball. I told them the idea was to throw the ball into the opposing team's peach basket.
And what rules did you have for your new game, Dr. Mason?
Rule number 5, no shouldering, holding, pushing, tripping, or striking. These are worth about $10 million.
And in 1936, I saw it played for the first time at the Olympic Games.
He was the first inventor of a game to see his sport played in the Olympics.
Both Hitler and Naismith touched this ball.
A great story here on John McClendon, who a lot of folks may not know about.
Not only in terms of being the first black coach, he was the first one to really play fast break basketball.
Coach John McClendon's Tennessee A&I squad becomes national intercollegiate basketball champions for the 3rd consecutive year.
John McClendon is the last living link to the founder of the game, Dr. James Naismith.
Dr. Naismith, he knew about my wishes, and he advised me or told me that you're on the right track.
The Big Town welcomes the Clown Kings of basketball, the famous Harlem Globetrotters. Together with their coach, Abe Saperstein, they created one of the most innovative basketball teams the world has ever seen.
You got to understand that all sports were segregated at that time, so basketball was no different than any other. You would have the Jewish team here. You would have the Irish team here. You would have the black team here. And again, because it was this urban community game, teams would develop in pockets, in neighborhoods.
People moving out, people moving in. Because of the color of the skin.
It's staggering, to be honest. It's just something that Dr. Naismith could never comprehend.
It is a natural, the game of basketball, to cross gender boundaries.
Well, I think sports in general is one of the avenues that brings people together.
All of a sudden, basketball played on the playground is one of the great crucibles of democracy in America. The only thing that matters is you got gamers.
Julius Erving was responsible for the ABA merging with the NBA.
Chucking down the cross. The Celtics cannot handle the speed of the Lakers. Whose game is it? It's Michael Jordan's game. Bryant. To shot.
Cool. Well, without ado, I'm going to introduce everybody to Keith Zimmerman. We've been friends for over 20 years. We met playing pickup basketball way back in the day when we were both younger and just enjoying the game. And our friendship grew. And being at Kansas University, Keith was instrumental in the promotion of the rules of basketball, Naismith's rules, and met all those people and interviewed all those people. And now he's doing a series on the inclusion in basketball. And I was thinking about this, Keith. I'm going to add this too. I think it's the inclusion, but it's also the evolution of the game of basketball and how it's evolved over the years with inclusion of black players and women, and then international. And, it's a game that all three of us, and probably everybody watching right now, loves, and I've loved it since I was a little kid. And I think it's really important that Keith is putting all this together so some of the younger players and people and lovers of the game can see actually what happened. Because I played in the 80s, with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, and then Michael Jordan and some great players, Kareem and Dr. J. But now, players now don't even remember Dr. J. No, they hardly ever, if it wasn't for his shoes, they wouldn't remember Michael Jordan. And now you have Kobe, rest in peace, and all these great players. Kind of go by the sideline, but the game is always the game. And just excited to have Keith here on our show.
I appreciate it, Paul. Absolutely. Feel the same way. Yeah. This was, this has been a labor of love. I've been marketing I grew up in a unique way. My all my family on my dad's side was killed in the Holocaust, and Dad was the only male male in figure. I mean, obviously my father. Uh, on my dad's side, it was just Dad and I. And my mom, her father happened to have a pharmacy down on 18th in Brooklyn and attached. Paul, you know this. You probably know it, Ricky. You're talking about Gates Barbecue, right where the original Gates Barbecue is Bryant's Barbecue.
Yeah.
And they were attached there, and like the old song, sitting on the corner of 18th and Vine. I grew up down there, so I used to sit at the soda fountain as a little kid, and Satchel Paige and Buck O'Neill were like my uncles. So I grew up around black culture, but still lived out in the suburbs, and loved sports. So I always cheered for the black guy, and yet I had that ethnicity in me that when I saw sports, I saw how sports brought people together. When I started playing pickup ball, particularly basketball, not so much football or baseball, but pickup basketball, I could go down and play ball in the hood, and in those days it was a lot safer, and made great friends and stuff. And then as the 60s went along and I grew up, a lot of my friends got drafted to Vietnam and got killed. Others joined the Black Panthers, while all of us white guys went on to college. So, I protested the Vietnam War. I marched with Martin Luther King and stuff. So I always had that strong feeling about how basketball really breaks down social barriers. And I put on events. I marketed the 100th birthday of basketball with Sam Lacey. Also, rest in peace. Sam was my dear friend, best friends with Marcus Haynes and Gator Rivers, a lot of former Globetrotters. And Oscar Robertson's been real important to me, guys like Paul and stuff. So I just networked, and I probably had 100 friends that were ex-NBA players. And now that I'm older and I've hit the 70 mark, it's all about video now. And, we've got a group of partners in LA. I'm here in Kansas City. Everybody else is in LA. And we said, let's make this. We got the film. I've got the inside story on Coach McClendon through Marcus Haynes. I got Marcus's story, and we obviously Lucius Allen, and guys like that have talked about John Wooden in UCLA. We talk about the death of playground basketball because people don't really play out in the playgrounds anymore. It's too dangerous. The Negro League Baseball Museum, where I'm close to, they have a series they want to do in the film called Base Pass to Baseline about all the great Negro League players that were also Globetrotters, and they played both sports, and people thought they were just entertainers, but they happened to be the best players in the world, and they just didn't get a chance to show it. So, we've kind of evolved the game or the show, the film that way, and, we got a little hiccup with the pandemic, but now we're actually in negotiations with studios, and we're on our way, and this is going to be a absolutely great flick and probably be an 8-episode miniseries.
That was the question I was going to ask. What form it's going to be? It's going to be a documentary style and over a series of episodes.
Yeah, you know what, Ricky? At first, it was just going to be a 90-minute documentary, but there's no way you can talk about John McClendon for 5 minutes and move on. No way you can do that with Marcus Haynes. No way you can do it with John Wooden. Even playground basketball. All the episodes, deserve, to be 30-minute, standalone films and stuff. So that is one thing we have to work out. That's what we want to do. Right now we have a couple studios saying, why don't you do the first 2 episodes, and then we'll see if we want to pick up on the other 6. And obviously, we talk about the first time basketball was actually played, even though Naismith invented the sport in 1891. He was already coaching at Kansas in 1896. They're playing YMCAs and corporate teams. Then other colleges started putting their teams together. There wasn't pro basketball for another 60 years. So the first time they played culture against other cultures was the 1936 Berlin Olympics, where of all people, Adolf Hitler, would not shake Jesse Owens' hands or Marcus Haynes' hands. And when the U.S. beat Canada for the gold medal game, the Nazis just walked away and refused to give medals. And we actually, my buddy whose father was captain of the Canadian team, he's got the game ball from the very first Olympics, which we're putting up for sale for $2 million. So
you and me, Ricky, we'll put our money together.
Yeah, that's why I'm on, man. $1 million apiece.
Hey Mo, before you go home, Mo, what tickled me in the trailer of Ball of Inclusion was Michael Jordan reading "Don't push, don't hit." I'm sure he wants to give that to Paul Mokeski.
No, he wanted to give it to the Pistons, the bad boys.
And Rick
rules.
Yeah.
I remember because Keith was promoting that, and I remember being able to touch the original rules. And this is his great grandson Naismith that was carried around in a briefcase.
Yeah, Jan Naismith. I spent 12 years marketing the rules, and that's where we got a lot of this footage from. That Jan passed away after the rules got bought by a KU booster, and he outbid a Duke guy, and the rules are hanging up at KU now. So that gave me 12 years of traveling with a Naismith exhibit and marketing it as part of my traveling sports extravaganza. I learned a world of information about James Naismith, but I'll tell you what, I became infatuated with Coach McClendon. This man is an absolute icon, and I would say 95% of people don't know who he is, and those 5% are all basketball coaches, and they know he started the fast break. He did the secret game, which is a great story that we talk about, and his relationship with Marcus Haynes, they were actually peers. And while Naismith taught McClendon directly about the game of basketball and how to coach it, right about that time is when Marcus and the Globetrotters beat the Lakers in a challenge match. And the Globetrotters were like 50-point underdogs to George Mikan and the Lakers, and they beat them in Chicago Stadium, played them again 9 months later, beat them again. And Marcus dribbled out the clock for like the last 7 minutes. There was no
no shot clock.
No shot clock.
Where did Coach Clinton coach?
Huh?
Where did Coach Clinton coach?
He coached at Tennessee A&I, in Cleveland State.
Yeah.
Cleveland State. I don't know if he had a run at Kentucky State, but Paul, he actually coached.
He was at North Carolina.
North Carolina, yeah.
Too.
That's the school where they did, Ricky, that's where they did the secret game.
Talk about that. Talk about the secret game.
Okay, so the secret game was in, I believe, 42. Duke was right across the street from North Carolina A&T, and people were egging them on. These guys at Duke, they're playing games that are like 24-22, and you guys are scoring up in the 80s. So they would have been put in jail if people had known the Jim Crow laws were in effect and stuff. And so Coach McClendon had a sports writer that he was really tight with, and he brought in two real officials. They wallpapered the windows so nobody could see inside the basement of the church, legitimate floor, and Coach McClendon and A&T ended up beating Duke like 88-44.
Yeah, Billy Packard was on that team.
Yes, yes.
Billy Packard was on, and it was North Carolina Central, but Billy Packard was on that team when they played back then. I mean, Keith, this is, and then we got our viewers got questions and comments, and I promise you we will get to some of those before the night is over. But what prompted you to take this project on?
I guess what happened was, when the pandemic came, it was just a slowdown for everybody. And I was talking to my partners out in LA, Stephen Baru and Bill Wyman. And, I was starting to make connections out there through their efforts. And I know a lot of people in LA. And they said, everybody said, this is you don't need to be putting on an event anymore and spreading this stuff out. I'd go rent space at like Union Station, and we'd bring out all this material, including sports art and everything, all these artifacts. And then it was like, wait a minute, this needs to be a documentary. And actually, for me, doing a documentary at this point in my life is sort of like the perfect ending to what I've been doing, because I hustled so hard when I was young, and I've been doing this since I was 30 years old, and I'm 70 now. So for 40 years, I've been out, and so many of my friends have passed away recently and stuff. Man, I just feel I need to pay tribute to those guys and the people like Marcus and Coach Mack. I mean, they truly, I give props obviously to Coach Naismith, James Naismith, for inventing the game. But like you said, the game evolved, and it wasn't until the 36 Olympics 40 years later that cultures played against other cultures. And that's what started basically, the concept of, Jewish people can play with black people and, Irish people and so on. And they did it by country, and they did it by neighborhood. And then we know how the women's game has grown greatly. And then the 36 Olympics game really opened the way for the Olympics, where all kinds of hanky-panky went on, like 72 in Munich and everything. But, man, when the Dream Team hit, I got so many stories from people about what happened in Barcelona. And, I know Paul mentored one of the greatest players of all time, Dirk Nowitzki, when he was assistant at Dallas. But I remember Nowitzki. I met him one time, and he was telling me, I went to every single camp, during the when I was a kid, during the what do you call it, the Dream Team. And he said, I learned so much from those coaches, that I learned how to shoot, I learned how to handle, and I had a complete game. And it was apparent that the rest of the world was going to catch up. In the meantime, in America, sort of like Paul was saying about, it's hard to coach kids today. They weren't playing on the street and showing their things at the Rucker League and Venice Beach and stuff like they were, just neighborhoods in Kansas City, Detroit, wherever. They literally have gotten so spoiled that it's turned into, they shoot 3-pointers or they dunk the ball.
And
they and they don't know how to run the fast break. They would, me personally, the Celtic teams of the 80s, the Laker teams of the 80s, Michael Jordan teams, they would crush anybody from the NBA today.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that. I like the way they played, but backtrack a little bit. Because I grew up outside of LA. I grew up playing pickup ball. I knew where all the games were. Sunday I knew
Sure.
you played at UCLA, and then you went out to Verbindale and Compton on Tuesday, and then you went to Pepperdine on Wednesday. But those have all been, no one does that anymore. And the problem is AAU basketball ruined pickup basketball.
Yes, it
because
did.
Now,
Yes,
during
it did.
the off season, instead of playing pickup ball, you just get on an AAU team that's sponsored by one of these big, Nike or Adidas, and they fly you around the country and probably give you free stuff and probably money, and that's actually what polluted college basketball, because in AAU basketball, great players would move around and play on different teams and say, hey, Ricky, I want to play with you. Let's go play for the Adidas team in LA, and Keith, let's go play in Chicago. And that's what started the whole transfer portal nightmare that we're in right now. And,
Exactly.
And it also added to the NBA nightmare of players demanding to be traded, like James Harden, and then getting their wish. So, it's all snowball.
But Paul, when you see, I think the average age of the NBA right now is 23 years old. Something pretty close to that.
Yeah, I think it's 20. Yeah, it's 26, 27, but
okay,
right.
But I remember, like, you know how good friends I was with Oscar. I am with Oscar Robertson. When Oscar and Bill Russell and Elgin Baylor and Casey Jones, that first group of great black players that were coming out of colleges, they were grown men, 22 years old, had college degrees, had learned the game from the best coaches like Dean Smith and, the on and on and on. Bobby Knight's, Ted Owens, and they played the game till they were in their late 30s because they didn't make as much money. But, they had the whereabouts to and the means to be coached and learn the game and just get bigger and stronger. And these young kids today are given. There's a kid that got drafted from KU about 4 years ago named Diablo, and they drafted him because of his wingspan. He didn't even average half a point at KU.
Yeah, I mean back then, even when I played, most everybody went to college for 4 years, and you learned how to play. Your body matured, your attitude matured, everything matured. That's not the case anymore.
No.
You look at the first round of the NBA draft.
I know who they are.
You have 60% of the players are under 19 years old, and the other ones are 20. And if you go to 4 years of college, that's frowned upon now. So there's one and done. Now you don't even have to go to college. You go to the G League, you can go to the teams in Atlanta, you can go overseas. So all those days. So like I told, when I was in the draft room in the NBA in Dallas or Charlotte, we're looking at these 18, 19-year-old kids. We're not even going to coach them. By the time they can play, we're going to be fired going somewhere else. So But that's here's the word of NBA: potential.
That's it.
What's your potential? And that's it. And then hopefully we can teach you how to play. Hopefully we'll be around long enough. But most of these players, don't have any idea how to play the game. But they only go to college for 1 or 2
But
years.
the foreign players know how to play.
Because they were taught at a young age. Some do.
Exactly.
Some don't,
Exactly. They maintain that. I saw today that they listed the top 10 players. People thought the top 10 players in the NBA, and 6 of them were from other countries.
Well, the last 5 years, the MVP of the NBA is a foreigner. Giannis, Joker, Embiid. So
unbelievable.
Hey, Mo, I want to say.
Let me say this. Here's what Europe doesn't have. AAU. They don't have AAU. There is no
Yeah.
AAU. You train in a pro club, and then you move up in the ranks, and then you mature.
Yeah, they play pro ball at 16.
Hey, Mo, I want to take a little break here and kind of go to some of the issues we didn't get a chance to cover that have gone down since we were last on. And I want to start, we were talking about James Harden. He was traded. You said he wouldn't make it through the year, and he's gone now. So that automatically makes Philly the winner in my book because he's out.
Well,
he was. Hey, Mo, let me tell everybody what went down. The Clippers, of course, got Harden, PJ Tucker, and Philip Petrusev.
Playing overseas.
Nick Batum, Robert Covington, KJ Martin, Marcus Morris, unprotected, 28 first-round pick, Mo.
Hey.
26 first-round pick via Oklahoma City, and a first-round pick swap with the Clippers, and 2 second-round picks from the Clippers.
Wow.
Marcus
Morris?
Yep, they got Marcus.
Yeah,
I didn't know the Morris brothers were still playing.
Yeah, but that's the bad twin. The good twin's playing somewhere else, I think. But yeah, I mean, Philly was in a no-win situation after whatever Daryl Morey did, and then Harden called him a liar. So they didn't get what they could have got before all that happened. However, sometimes there's addition by subtraction. So James Harden was never going to play in Philly. He was just there for the money. And, so he showed up at camp. He got a $9 million check when he showed up at camp because that was his pay for showing up. So Philly and Daryl Morey decided, well, we're going to get draft picks and we're going to get these. And if you look at those players, right, they're middle-of-the-road players, but they all have expiring contracts. Expiring contracts in the NBA are valuable because they come off your salary cap.
Yeah.
So, but what they're going to do, because you're not going to wait around. Is a beat going to wait around till 2029? No. So what Daryl Morey's going to do is package those with maybe another player and get a legitimate player to come in and give Philly a chance to compete with Boston and Milwaukee. But that's not going to happen probably till closer to the trade deadline. But Clippers, in all their wisdom, the Clippers always make great decisions, and so they bring in Harden in a group that's struggling anyway. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, all these guys, and guess who else is there? Westbrook.
Yeah.
Who didn't work for the Lakers, never was.
Yeah.
And actually, Westbrook is taking on a distributing role with the Clippers, but that's out the window now. You can't have Harden and Westbrook. There's not enough air in the basketball. They would dribble.
No, I don't know how they're going to pull that off. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Yeah, so, but I agree with you. Philly's the winner because Harden was nothing. PJ Tucker he's getting older. He's not as valuable. The other kid plays overseas, so, he's just an asset. But, But
Joel Embiid deserves to have a good team around him.
Yeah.
To see how good he is.
Well, look what he's been through.
Yeah.
The Ben Simmons fiasco.
Oh my God.
Believe in the process, bull crap. And now this. But now with Harden gone, I think Embiid can breathe now and say, okay, we're going to bring in these guys. I coached Robert Covington in the G League. That was like 10 years ago. But
wow.
So they're gonna see if any of these guys can help them, but really Daryl Morey's gonna package stuff.
Hey Paul, you know what I think? Paul, you know what I think about a lot? Going back to KU, and they were ranked number 1 in the country. They had gotten the top recruits, so they had going into the tournament. They had Wiggins, who went number 1, and Joel Embiid went number 2. And in the game, in the grade 8, in the game that would have gotten them in the Final Four, between the two of them, they scored no points.
I don't think Joel Embiid only played like 5 games.
Yeah, he didn't play at all. he played. He was great. Wiggins just didn't want to get hurt because they saw his mother saw.
Embiid was hurt. So
Yeah. Embiid was truly hurt. Yeah,
it seems to me, Paul, that Philly. Okay, you got this great center there. No doubt, he is a great player. But instead of just building a good core around him, like a guy like Tobias Harris, who I think is a good piece.
Yeah.
Do the splashy stuff to go with him, and it just blew up in their face.
Well, when you go back to believe in the process, they were building the team. However, then Ben Simmons wanted to demand a trade, so they had no choice. So what did you get for Ben Simmons, who has hurt his back or whatever? Well, you get Harden, okay? And now Harden didn't work out, so now what do you get? You get what you can get. I mean, it's not like, it's not like Monopoly. You get what you get. But I don't think those trades weren't made to be a big splash. They were made out of necessity. They had no other options.
Right.
And Ben Simmons isn't going to show up, so who's going to trade for him? And what are you going to give them for him?
You think he'll ever develop?
I have no idea. I haven't seen him play this year. He hasn't played in 2 years.
I know it. He's so damn young. He's so damn young, though.
Not anymore. If he's 26, he ain't young anymore.
Oh, he's 20. Is he that? Has it been that long? Wow.
Yeah. Shoot, he was in Philly for 2 years. Then he went to Brooklyn for 2 years. And
yes, sir.
Yeah, but like you just said, the NBA is a young man's league, except, what's really funny? Guess what the best teams in the NBA have, right?
Yeah.
Boston, Milwaukee, the Lakers, Denver. They all have veteran players.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So all that, like OKC, Sacramento, teams like that are up and coming, but they're all young. So it's kind of a catch-22, right? So you draft all these young guys, they're not ready to play yet. I mean,
and you know what's crazy, Mo? I thought Ben Simmons was a young guy too. Ben Simmons is 27.
Wow, he's done.
I thought he was 23.
He's done.
Because he's only played out of the 6 years, he's only played 2 years, 2 seasons.
That's horrible.
And then you have, so you look at I'm watching OKC play a little bit right now, and Holmgren, who didn't play last year, but he's playing this year and putting up good numbers. He had 7 blocks the other night. Then you got Wembanyama in San Antonio. Oklahoma City has Gilgeous, who is one of the best point guards, and he's only 21. But they're not ready to make runs at championships yet.
Hey, Mo. Chris checks in. I was at the Thunder game the other night playing the Pistons. Chet Holmgren on offense shot 4 3-pointers in a row. For a center not being on the basket only for rebounds, these centers are shooting 3-pointers. Will you talk about that subject?
Well, that's the game. There is no low post players anymore. I mean, even Joker.
No.
The best low post players, centers, the Joker, Embiid. Those are the best offensive centers.
That's it.
But they don't post up. They post up on the free throw line. And there's reasons for that.
Yeah,
Number
right.
one, it's less physical. Number two, you can't get double teamed as easy as you can in the low post. So that's what the game is now. And, shooting threes, if you make 33%, you should shoot threes. If you don't, you shouldn't. And Holmgren is shooting 42%. But that's just the way the game is now. No one pounds it in and posts up anymore. That's not the game, man.
Hey, you guys ever think, though, I was mentioning, I thought the old school, I don't know if you call it old school, but because it goes back further than this. I think of the Laker team, and I just picture them starting with putting Michael Cooper on Steph Curry, wearing his ass down, then Magic covers him for a while. They put in Byron Scott for a while. In the meantime, they got Kareem, under the basket if he gets loose. They got James Worthy on the wing. I just can't believe Steph Curry would put up the numbers when he had to go against that kind of a defensive team.
What rules you playing?
Well, that's it. Depending on the rule, but it'd be even easier now. I mean, just think of those guys.
They couldn't guard him. They couldn't.
What if Michael was playing now and they couldn't hand check him?
Yeah, I know.
What would Michael be doing?
The Lakers, Magic couldn't guard Curry anyway. But even Michael Cooper, great defensive guy, they won't let you touch anybody anymore. So all you're doing is getting in foul trouble. Now, you put those guys playing in the 80s, you got a different ball game because Steph Curry's getting knocked on his butt all the time.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I guess I'm talking 80s rules, not today's rules.
Yeah, so, but you can't, like the Boston Celtics and the Lakers, I played against them all. And even the Pistons Bad Boys, the Pistons Bad Boys, half their team couldn't stay on the floor for a quarter. They'd foul out. They'd have flagrant 20s. They'd be kicked out. You're out.
It's funny going back to what we talk about in the film with John McClendon, and white guys can only play white guys and black guys only play black guys. So guys like Marcus, he played at all black high school, all black college, lost one game in 8 years between high school and college, then joins the Globetrotters. And Marcus, when he died, he's the only player that is ranked as a top 10 in his position for a career that never played in the league. And Marcus would tell me, when Coach Mack put the fast break in, he said, the white guys were just content walking the ball up the court. And it wasn't until that Laker game in 48-49 when they played back-to-back games, and that kind of opened up that's when Jackie Robinson came into baseball, and they opened up the NBA right after that. And, those guys just, they didn't know how to play that kind of ball. And, it took a long time, for everybody to meld into it. And Paul, this is probably the ABA that really sped it up, because when they came in the 70s, that was Dr. J and Moses and Gervin, all those guys. And I mean, it was full speed basketball.
Yeah, I mean, the ABA brought in the 3-point line, right? So that opened up scoring, right? You get 3 points instead of 2, and opened up the floor to be able to push and penetrate more. That was part of it. But I mean, the game is different. I mean, if I was playing right now, if I was training, or my sons were playing right now and I was 7 foot tall, I would teach them how to shoot threes, how to drive to the basket, create contact, and go to the free throw line, and then block shots, rim run, and pick and roll, pick and pop. That's it. No post up. You don't need a post up.
Yeah. So, no doubt.
It's just, no doubt. But you can't tell me that Ralph Sampson,
oh my God,
even Kareem, guys like that could not play and shoot threes and dribble the ball. Ralph Sampson had a jump shot. He could dribble the ball. He could handle it just like the guys right now.
Mo, I wanted to get your thoughts on Wembyana early presence in the league, since we're talking about big men, and he's made for today's game, isn't he?
Well, watch this. Look where he takes off from, and he dunks it left-handed.
Wow, how's he doing? How's he doing so far?
That's a freak. So he's doing exactly what I said about a month ago, Ricky, right?
Yeah.
You remember what I said about him a month ago?
Yeah.
I said he's going to have an impact on defense almost every game. He's going to get in foul trouble, and he's going to have good games and bad games. So, like, he had 21 and 12 rebounds and 5 block shots. Then the next game, he had 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 block shot, because he's a rookie. He's only 19 years old.
Wow.
But, I mean, he's a freak of nature.
He got his hands on that ball.
He blocked it. I mean, you saw him play Kevin Durant.
But Mo, I watched his shot. He has a beautiful shot.
Yeah, he's got good. Look at that. I mean, he was fouled on that play, and he finished behind his head. I saw him play in person a couple times here, and he's just a different breed. I mean, you can't. He's not going to post up. He's not going to shoot a hook shot. Even though I heard he was working on a sky hook, which I bet as he matures in his game, he'll get like a Patrick Ewing running hook in the paint. Because if you're that skinny, you can't hold your ground and do dribble moves and drop steps and that. You get pushed off. But you can, like Kareem. Kareem, Kareem at some point was probably that skinny. But when I played Kareem, he wasn't, he was skinny, but not that skinny. He could still hold his own ground. But, that sky hook, I mean, God, just think if I was around him, Wembanyama, guess what we're going to do next summer? We're going to lock ourselves in the gym, and we're going to work the hell out of a sky hook right and left hand, and no one can guard you, not anybody.
Yeah. Hey, guys,
hey, what do you guys think right now if Wilt at his best walked right into the league as he is right now? No 3-point shooter, but he's Wilt.
He'd be one of the best players in the game. Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, he was one of the best athletes.
With the Globetrotters in that video clip there.
He dribbled between his back, he's one of the best athletes ever to play.
Unbelievable. You saw him high jump at KU. You saw he high jumped at KU and stuff. I mean, he was unbelievable.
There's a clip you can pull up. They're at Lakers practice, and he's shooting corner 3 hook shots. He made 4 in a row.
Oh man!
Hey Mo, we're running out of time here. I want to get to some of our comments, man. We thank everybody for tuning in. This is a great show, Pete. It's been great having you here this evening. In fact, let's start here from Skip Eddie.
Skip Eddie,
my brother from another mother.
Skipper.
I finished third in the Kansas City Celebrity Horse Tournament.
Yeah.
Was shootout with the assistant KU coach, was the 3-point champ in Illinois. We had J.J. Walker, Dynamite.
Yes.
In the bench. We'll be running that back, he said.
Hey, you know what? We can put it on. I want to see. I can't play anymore. I've had 17 surgeries. I'm done. But if Skip thinks he can do it, we'll put it on. I'll put it on a tournament just for Skip.
Can't play anymore.
He can't play anymore.
No, he came here to Vegas, and we had a great time with he and Mike Strathman. And I saw him in the hot tub. He can't play anymore.
Well, Skip, go back to the hot tub.
This is from Christopher. Would love to see the game played the way women college basketball is played. The way Dr. Naismith envisioned the game to be played.
Yeah, that's true.
What are the virtues of women's basketball when you watch it today, Mo?
Well, I mean, first of all, I hear what you're saying, Christopher, but no, please, no, thank you. I'm in Las Vegas. The Aces just won back-to-back championships. I like the way they play. They have a lot of talent. And they get, good crowds and stuff, but there's a reason why the WNBA doesn't make any money is because they don't play above the rim. They're not exciting enough. But what they do is listen, fundamentally sound, and I agree, pass, shoot. However, just watch the Warriors play. What do? Pass, shoot. Mm-hmm. So it's not a lost art, but there's more teams that play one-on-one and pick and roll. But I think a good combination of that would be entertaining. But I had an argument. I had a discussion with another radio guy the other day. He was talking about the Las Vegas Aces could not beat the high school team here, the boys' high school team, and I told him he was crazy. But,
it's crazy.
Yeah, but I don't think they could. They couldn't beat a good Division II team. They couldn't beat 320 of the Division I teams. They could beat some of the bad ones, maybe. But it's a ways to come.
You think, hey Paul, do you think there's a woman that could come off the bench and play just like one woman that could come off the bench and play for somebody?
I don't think so. I mean, the Aces just finished up with the best players, right?
Yeah.
Asia Wilson was MVP, but she's only 6'4" and she plays post. And then I can't remember the white girl's name that played for the Mercury, and she was MVP of the league. And neither of them could play in the NBA.
Brittany Griner couldn't have a good 5 minutes.
Sure. Would she be successful? I don't know. I mean, anybody, shoot, I could put you in for 5 minutes. I could put
Yeah,
I'm ready, man.
We had. I don't think there's anybody. We had one of the best ever when that Lynette Woodard at Kansas.
Oh, Lynette, I talked to her last week.
And she played with the Harlem Globetrotters, and she used to play pickup with us in the springtime.
And that was awesome.
She was pretty strong. The one girl that might be able to do it, man, her name is something Gray. She's the point guard here. They call her the point guard. She's about 6'1", but she's strong. So.
Hey, Paul, you remember when we did the celebrity game in Kansas City for the 100th birthday? Lynette beat Billy McKinney in 1-on-1.
Yeah, I mean, she's a good player.
Hey, Mo, Steve checks in. Says the Bucks look terrible so far. You worried?
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Steve, for listening. Next. Hey, Steve, let's talk after Christmas, buddy.
As you say, relax.
Yeah.
Relax.
The
problem is Middleton's hurt again. That's a problem. What other questions we have, Ricky?
I'm trying to go through them now here. Let's see. Well, condolences to the Knight family. Yeah, we talked about Bobby. The Sooners beat the Jayhawks beat my Sooners. That was a great case.
Kansas football. Yep, they're decent.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
The coach is doing a good job.
Great job.
Out the stadium, and they're on TV now, so that's all.
Yeah, go get that best coach in double in Division II.
Let's just keep it moving, guys. We're almost at the witching hour anyway here. Any idea when the project will be done?
Yeah, we'll be in the market in 2025, and we're going to be doing some trailers out there as teasers coming up, and I want to revisit you guys when we're done.
Oh,
and we actually had the film done, and we'll put some of these on DVD as collectors, numbered editions and stuff, and give some away on your show. But if a couple things happen that we're in negotiations on right now in the next few weeks, I mean, we're 80% finished with the film. We're in pre-production, and it's just mostly editing, and then finding out whoever our streaming partner is going to be. Do they want to do they want to commit to all 8 episodes at one time, or do they want to do, say the first 2 episodes, and we could knock that out, within a few months and have it out there on the out there in the marketplace.
Hey, Mo, got one more basketball question. Can Memphis survive until they get John back and start? They're 0-4 so far.
And no. They not only is Morant out, but also Steve Adams is out for the season. So no, they can't.
Adams is out for the year?
Yeah, he tore up his knee.
Oh, terrible! I really like him.
And
that's a real big. That's an old school big.
Well, that's about it. Skip, hope you're doing better, Paul, with your knee.
Come on,
yeah, Paul.
Yeah, I think you know what? I would first of all, I think Keith's project is so important because. Are you okay? I thought you
it dropped.
I thought we lost you for a minute. Do we need to call someone? holy cow.
Compliments make me drop. I'm sorry.
You know, the history of the game is so important and it's so lost. And what Keith has done is, you know, he has interviews from, you know, John Wooden and you know, people that are so important to the history. And, you know, I think it's important for the younger players to realize this and go on YouTube, please, and go watch not only Michael Jordan, but go watch Wilt Chamberlain and go watch Elgin Baylor and go watch, you know, all these other players that people forget about. But, you know, keeping it in the circulation is so important. And that's what's so important about Keith's project.
Well, you know, and how the game evolved is really important. Not just that they're great players, but how it evolved. And, you know, from our standpoint, it's the social impact. I mean, truly, we say ball of inclusion, the social impact of the game of basketball. And that's truly what we talk about. I mean, there's not an episode that doesn't touch on the fact that, you know, this game has brought these people together. Yeah. And these things happen because of this and that. And I'd love to tell you guys one last real quick story. As we're talking about the 30s and the 40s, and, you know, after the 36 Olympics and everybody gets back, and Coach McClendon still coaching an all-black college, historic black colleges, and Marcus is still playing with the Globetrotters. You got Jackie Robinson and Buck O'Neill traveling down south, you know, and there's that famous story about Jackie Robinson. You know, Satchel told me all kinds of stories when I was a kid, but I mean, the best one that people talked about was Jackie Robinson being from LA and going to UCLA was a little bit more, a little different. He didn't accept segregation like the guys from the South did. They just thought that's the way it was. And the Kansas City Monarchs were like the Yankees of Negro League baseball. And they're down there in the middle of the night somewhere in Oklahoma, and they needed to fill up their tank. And this guy starts filling up their tank, and Jackie Robinson walks over to the men's restroom, and the guy pumping the tank said, "No, boy, you need to go to the colored only." And Jackie Robinson came back and he said, how much gas do you think you're going to sell the rest of the night before you open tomorrow? And he said, probably none. And he said, well, we got like 100-gallon tank here. And he said, guys, let's pack up. We'll go down somewhere else. And he said, you're losing a big paycheck today. And the guy said, go ahead. Don't tell anybody that I said it was okay. But, you know, it took things like that. And I mean, all those guys, Buck O'Neill, you know, Marcus, Coach Mack, they all experienced the same thing in the Jim Crow days. And, you know, people need to know that. People need to know that, especially as divided as the world is.
Well, you know, I got my Kansas hat on and I'm a Kansas guy. So the story for Wilt Chamberlain was he went up to visit Kansas from Philly, and they went to a cafe around Lawrence, and they didn't feed him. So he went and saw the coach and said, "Listen, I can't come here." And they took him down to that restaurant and got him fed and said, "Don't worry, you won't have to worry about any of that anymore."
Hey, Mo, one quick thing. Christopher wonders, should AAU coaches promote the game as a team sport?
Yeah,
more passing, more teamwork.
Well, should they? Yes. But the problem is with AAU, most of the coaches, I'm sorry, aren't real coaches in the AAU. They're just promoters or got handlers of players, of good players. They're not coaches. Most of them don't teach the players what they should learn, you know, which is skill work and team basketball and spacing. I mean, you can tell right now when I watch AAU basketball, most of them, they full court press the whole time. Then they fall back into a zone, and then they just run up and down the floor with no patterns at all. Well, is there any college that plays that way?
No, absolutely not.
No, so why are you playing that way when you want your AAU kids to get scholarships, right? But you should play the way that they would play in college, so the coach can look at them. I mean, it drives me crazy watching high school basketball, at a high level, and they're all playing zone. Well, there's no college in the country that plays zone all the time, except one, Syracuse. There's only one.
That's
so
it.
You're preparing in high school. You're preparing your players to play for one school, Syracuse. That's it. Yeah. Because those coaches don't know. Can you guard pick and roll? Can you do this? They don't know. So AAU is, in my opinion, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of athleticism. But playing team basketball is the last in these coaches, so-called coaches' thought process, which is sad. It's sad.
Hey guys, we got to get out of here. Keith, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ricky. Paul, love you, buddy. Thank you so much.
We're going to be off for a couple of weeks, and just follow our Facebook page. We'll let you know when we're back on. This has been a fantastic hour.
So we're off, guys, because Ricky's having the surgery next week, and we pray for him and wish him well. It's all going to be okay.
Ricky, good luck, buddy.
Thank you.
Keith, we're going to have you on here in the next month or so.
Yeah, you know what? Speaking of AAU, I want to bring Calvin Andrews and Myron Piggy on.
Yes.
That will be a great one.
We'll have an AAU.
I promise I'll make that happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, until next time, gentlemen. Take care, guys.
Okay, stay healthy, Ricky.
All right.
Love you guys.
Thank you.